Episode 6, in my opinion, is the beginning of the second arc. This episode, The Road to Hope, as it were titled, is kind of funny because the only hope I can really say the Elric brothers can get is a little more hope than, well... Time to head back to Risenbull with Major Armstrong, no less. Al packed away with sheep, and both Edward and Alex riding with, I would assume, the cheap seats. Our characters are on the way. After a quick stop in a small town, we meet Dr. Marco, disguised as Dr. Morrow, the town's doctor. Great disguise and cover there, bud. We find out that Dr. Marco is on the run and in hiding. The boys find out that Dr. Marco has research of the one thing the Elric brothers need so dearly, the Philosopher's Stone. Dr. Marco advises the brothers that chasing the Philosopher's Stone is chasing hell. Look closely. Maybe you can find the truth hidden in the truth. The Elric brothers are now tasked with finding Marco's research within a library, where it hides in plain sight, but more on that later. I won't give too much away, but the boys get repaired after 3 days and nights by a very animated Winry. So, back in Central, in the library, the homunculi burned the whole place to the ground. Yeah, we meet Sheshka, who in 5 days rewrote all of Dr. Marco's research. The brothers decode the research to find what makes the Philosopher's Stone so powerful, the main ingredient. I won't ruin it here for you, but just know that it is a doozy. The brothers find that more of their answers can be found in the 5th laboratory. They were also told not to go into the 5th laboratory. But do our boys listen to any outside advice? Not today, they don't! Finding a transmutation circle and what looks to be something of a slaughterhouse, the Elric brothers are attacked by soul-bound suits of armor. Although the brothers are in separate battles, seeing these soul-bound lunatics hits them the same way. Al had some really manipulative psychobabble from number 66 that has Al thinking he may not even be a real boy. Edward has an encounter with envy and lust and has been told that he is a precious resource and that he and his brother are sacrifices. Keeping Ed in the hospital to heal up from his wounds, and Winry coming to fix his automail, which, by the way, she believes is her fault due to missing bolts, Al is sulking about what number 66 had told him. Solely based on what Edward told Alphonse, there's something I've been meaning to ask you. Al thinks that he's an alchemy-made monster, with the simple task of accompanying his brother. No joke. Real psychological warfare here. After finding out the thing Ed was really trying to ask Al kind of feels like a jerk. With all the fun and excitement and comedy aside, though, the 10th episode, Separate Destinations, gives us another story, a backstory, just a little bit of exposition with Mustang and Hughes. It seems the top brass of the military are behind the happenings in the 5th laboratory, and no one seems to know how far up the ladder it really goes. With Hughes, Armstrong, and the brothers talking about the 5th laboratory, and some of the things that they are discovering, and putting a list together of things to really dig into, some evidence that they may come across, they're visited by Fuhrer King Bradley, telling them very suspiciously to stop all research on the Philosopher's Stone. However, connecting a lot of dots, literally, Hughes gets to a little bit more digging and kind of accidentally stumbles too dangerously close to the truth. And when I say dangerously close, I mean he's met with the homunculi, lust and envy, where unfortunately they were too much of a match for him, and he is dispatched by envy. Of course, the Elric brothers and Winry have no clue that this happened. They're already on a train going to Dublith, well, by way of Rush Valley, since the boys had already promised to take Winry there. I really want to talk about the direction of this episode, because having the cuts of the Elric brothers and the events at Central going on kind of like at the same time gives you this real interesting mix of some comedy, slice of life stuff, travel, exposition-y things, and drama. And the way that it's stitched together is really good, because it never puts you over the edge of excitement, and it never puts you over the edge of sorrow. And the way that it's done is really well directed. But enough of that, because now we're in Rush Valley, where craziness ensues. Winry is geeking out at all the automail, and, well, you know, Ed gets his watch stolen by the town's regular thief, and, you know, Al is kind of a third wheel in this episode, with the exception of, like, him chiming in every once in a while, kind of. So we find that Peninia is stealing to pay back the man, Dominic, who had fixed her legs after she was injured and her parents didn't make it after a train crash. Peninia had lost her legs, and Dominic picked her up out of an alley, essentially, and after telling her that she looked like she was a dead person, repaired her. I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant here, because Peninia is literally not my favorite character. Like, she is my least favorite person in this series. I know I'm heartless, so, you know, I don't like her motivations. I don't like her mocking demeanor. The fact that it took Winry and company, to convince her to turn a new leaf and work a steady, regular job, not stealing things, and it took Dominic how many years of telling her this to make an honest living? Literally, she's not a character I can stand behind, honestly, because I just feel like her drama to the story is kind of cheap, and I know it wasn't meant to be that. Maybe it's her character, maybe the way that she is. I know I'm spending a minute just bashing her character. She's just not my favorite character in this series. And of course, for me, the best part of this episode is the childbirth. There's so much drama and joy in this, and it really puts Winry on top. It really gives her a purpose. Her hands were used to help deliver a human life into the world. And in my opinion, this is the best part of the episode. As of right now, we're going to leave Winry in Rush Valley, and then we're going to follow the boys onward to Izumi in Dublith, the scariest human being in this entire anime. And I'm not joking. I would rather not see her, well, not dark alleys, not anywhere. She literally scares the crap out of me. Izumi trained in the ice and snow, living off the land and a nearby military base for 2 months, fighting bears. Bears! And of course, without spoiling a whole lot more, her story kind of also hits right in the feels too, kind of like the rest of this show hits you right in the feels, like every 3 episodes. However, we get the weirdest turn of events, and Al is kidnapped by Greed and the gang. That's what I'm going with right now. Essentially, Greed, or as he calls them, his possessions, are all chimera, so more animal-human hybrids, but they're successful human hybrids. So, with a little bit of time, Ed catches up to Greed and the gang after they'd kidnapped Al, and, they kind of have a knockdown, drag-out fight that lasts a little bit, and, Ed gets a little messed up, Greed gets a little messed up, and you can kind of see a respect growing for each other. But you know what? That all kind of comes to an abrupt end after Fuhrer Bradley comes in with a platoon of soldiers and just messes things up. I am not going to give away too many spoilers, but we do meet some very important characters in this arc. And this arc really starts to build more on the greater world of this anime. So this arc talks a lot to causality. There are repercussions for everything everyone is doing, and the boys are going to feel this throughout the anime. They are not innocent of this causality, and this is the build up to that. Hughes is the first casualty of their causality. I'm not going to say that it wouldn't have happened regardless of them really digging, but let's be honest. Hughes was a sacrifice. And his death really, really sucked, because of all the characters they could have killed, they killed Hughes. The guy is like a saint, and he just loves his wife and his daughter so much, and it just, when you put his story and his death to some of the other characters, it's like, whoa. And the Rush Valley episode is not my favorite episode. It really does set up Winry in a place of learning, in a place of, where she is in her element of automail repair, automail creation, automail maintenance, and it does really get her there, and it gives her someone to aspire up to, which I totally get that, and I understand that. Some of the things in Rush Valley that happen, I mean, again, not my favorite episode. I understand it's a thing that needs to happen, though, and it also does help her with her skills on really, her craft. So overall, this arc is really good, and it starts to build up a story, because we start to see that dark tone really shift, and now we're seeing more causality, and no one gets away from this anime scot-free. This is a perfect example of it. And I'm going to talk about the third arc later on in the month. In all honesty, I am afraid of my anime reviews being pulled and being copyright striked. So, as you know, my last one, the Fruits Basket review, was. So, if this review doesn't turn out, I'm going to go ahead and put a hold and a pause on my anime reviews for a little while, and it's going to be probably me in front of the camera again doing them. But hey, let's hope that doesn't happen, right? I'll catch you guys in the next exciting episode of whatever Brain Candy has going on next, and really just be happy. 'Cause happy things. Yeah.